and difference. And then in 2020, I became the first chief diversity office, started that office up. And then we had a series of really good research programs. We did Impacta, which was a COVID-19 pneumonia study where for the first time we were able to go to Africa. We went to Kenya and did this research, and it helped us get our, and it was like all the fake news. Gonna cost us more if we go and get a diverse group of people. It's so slow to study down. If we bring in a diverse group of people, they not gonna finish.
Okay, everyone, we are officially live. It worked. We finally got on.
Oh my goodness, it's a miracle, but it's
It
not. It's
is.
technology. Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
hello. The
everyone.
doc is in.
Listen, yes, we are. The mama's in, the baby's in. Look at those cheeks. Oh,
Right, I know. We're gonna pray that we make it through, but even though we're late, that means we have a little less time to get through for
that
this
part.
one. And so we'll make it work.
Yeah, we will. Wow. How y'all doing?
Great. I'm
Yeah, you
doing
are.
good.
Look
Great.
at all
Well,
the teeth. Look at all the smiles. I love to see it.
I
I
know,
know
I
I got
know.
my braces off yesterday.
Oh my God, I just realized. That's
Yes,
crazy.
great.
Congrats. That is a very beautiful, expensive smile. I love it.
Right?
Yes, it is.
So I'm filling in for my amazing mother today, Ricky Fairley. We are here with Dr. Mo, and we have two amazing guests here who are not new to Touch It All. They've been here and doing all of the work. And this is an interesting show because I thought about this show and was like, I'm so happy to see all of you guys, but I'm not happy why we're here. I'm
Right.
like not happy about the fact that we are having this that we have to have this conversation, right? And so really, this week we're just highlighting these amazing young survivors. And again, I think it's not fun to talk about why we're here. I'm because breast cancer, like many cancers, is just like getting younger, and naturally, no guideline matches the needs here. Oh, am I echoing a little bit?
Yeah, you
No,
were
I
for a little bit.
Oh, okay. I can hear
Okay.
you pretty well. And I agree with you in that, so it's a yes, last week I think was AYA week, right? Because there's got to be a week for everything. So AYA is adolescent and young adult breast cancer, which is kind of dumb if you think about that terminology. Even though I do see adolescents and young adults, by the time you are 35, you're bordering on geriatric pregnancy. Like who makes this stuff up, right? Like who decides what's adolescent, what's young, and whatever. But we are seeing younger and younger. And that means, though, that survivorship is getting longer and longer. And we need to speak to the needs of survivors, throughout the spectrum of their life and not just as a snapshot in time or, that first 5 years after you ring that bell. And like we've had some really just, I'm going to say wrong misconceptions and framework around what survivorship means and looks like. So the interesting thing about what y'all are doing is that you really are changing the conversation around survivorship, right? What it looks like, what are the needs, not just 5 years out, but 20 years out. What's my cardiac, profile going to look like as a result of radiation? What about my fertility? What about all these things? So we get to highlight it, we get to talk about it, what's unique, what's different, and how we doing with it, and what you all are doing about it. So let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, so like, I mean, you guys, take it away. I actually really enjoy hearing you guys share your stories because I've heard both of your stories, and it's interesting to hear how you guys even change or which parts you share and which parts are more you like illuminate them now, because you've learned this thing, or this part is not a part that like is relevant anymore, and this new part is. And so, anyways, go. I'm excited.
Well, I guess I'll start off. Hi everyone. Y'all know. It's me, your girl. My name is Ari. I met Ricky in 2020 when I was going through my second diagnosis. So I was diagnosed at 19. Just stumbled upon my lump while TMI shaving my armpits. Since I did have a family history and like I did know about breast exams, I like immediately got out the shower and scheduled my breast exam like at my doctor's office, and I already had an upcoming appointment. I ended up going in there, getting the breast exam. My nurse practitioner thought it was concerning, got my biopsy done. And then like 2 weeks later, I found out that it was breast cancer. It was very shocking for me at the time because I'm just like, when you're young, you're always thinking like it could never be me. And like I have never even met or heard of anyone that was 19 years old with the diagnosis. So that was like, what the heck? Like, am I finna be the new celebrity baby face poster face of this? Like, and so I ended up going through 16 rounds of chemo. I did get a double mastectomy and I got reconstruction. So by the end of 2020, I was technically in remission. And then by May 20, no, that was 2019, forgive me. Yeah, that was all 2019. And so by May 2020 is when I had my reoccurrence. So when I met Ricky, it was probably later on in the year. Touch was like brand stinking new. I was feeling her vision. And so I started working for her, running the HBCU internship. And the internship is like my baby, and it really touches my heart and my soul because, I got both of my diagnosis in college. And so like you just never know. And especially with so much more social media and seeing like into people's lives nowadays, like, there's so many social media like cancer influencers right now. So before, when I was going through like my first two journeys, I feel like there wasn't really a space for all of that, or nor did I really find young survivors, especially people of color. So just seeing it transform has been amazing. And so now even being able to do the work with the support group has been like, I don't know, just an amazing safe space, and it feels very authentic, which I know Kayla could probably agree to that. If you want to go, Kayla.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing, Ari. My name's Kayla. I'm also a young well, now metastatic breast cancer warrior, thriver. So my story is I was first diagnosed in 2022. Actually, let's start from the beginning. I felt a lump in 2021, and I went to a doctor. I don't have family history, but my boyfriend at the time felt a lump. And I went to the doctor, concerned about the lump. And because I didn't have family history, my nurse practitioner at the time, she just told me not to worry about it, and it's probably nothing without any further testing. So I kind of went on about my life. And the following year, I went to a different doctor because a lump grew in my left breast. And she sent me to get further testing, and it was confirmed I had stage 2B breast cancer. The type of breast cancer I have is slow growing, so it's HER2 negative, ER positive. So I was diagnosed with that. And that at that time, that is when I met Ari and Haley and Ricky, and the entire Touch family. And they really helped me through my first, well, through all diagnosis, but they really helped me learn more because just like Ari said, there wasn't a lot of young women like us. I was 23 at the time, 22, 23, I think. So it was, I just wasn't used to seeing young Black women being diagnosed with breast cancer. So it was just like a whole new realm that I was introduced through touch. So that was very interesting. And then I went through 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I forgot how many rounds of radiation. I also got a bilateral mastectomy as well as reconstruction. And I rang my bell and I had a recurrence in January of 2025. Um, and I was experiencing vague symptoms like shortness of breath, headaches, my eye was twitching, and I went and got testing done, and it came back that I had my cancer came back and metastasized to my brain, lungs, liver, and in my bones. So that was very difficult for me hearing that news. I was only 25 years old at the time, or 25 years old at the time, finding out that my cancer has came back and metastasized. So that was pretty difficult. And Ari and everyone was there with me every step through the way through this recurrence. And I'm also grateful for our next chapter, which we'll talk more about because we are able to share a space with other young Black women dealing with breast cancer. These recurrence rates are high, and if you're under 35, you're more than likely, I learned this yesterday, to get, what is it, 2 times more likely to get diagnosed with breast
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just, very grateful. I'm still in
Yeah.
treatment and everything. I'm doing well, and that is my.
Sorry, say that again. You said you're still on, are you on an oral regimen, you said?
Yes, so I take Kisqali orally, and I get like bone infusions and I get a shot. So I'm in menopause right now for the type of breast cancer I have because the estrogen will help it grow. So that's kind of weird being in menopause and I'm only 26. But
Mm-hmm.
it's I have no cycle, so that's a win for me. But yeah.
I love that you see it that way. You said some really powerful things already, right? Like there's so much that we don't know about, or that we just didn't think we needed to know. This isn't information that's readily available about the rates of, breast cancer in young Black women or the rate of recurrence. Who's thinking about those things as you are thinking about your 20s and what your life holds? And so those sometimes, even though we know those statistics and we talk about them a lot, for the average 20 something year old, it might not be on their radar. And, to hear you say that the doctor or the nurse practitioner said, oh, it's probably nothing. I can't tell you the number of times that I hear that. And I always say when people come see me for another opinion, like these aren't x-ray glasses. Last time I checked, right? Like there's a way to not dismiss, and it's because you don't fit the profile. And that's what we really have to talk about, right? It's like, who decided that the profile of breast cancer was an old, frail white lady,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like who decided that? And we were taught in medical school, cancer is a disease of aging. And
Hmm.
Ari, I know you can speak to this as a radiation therapist. Young people, right? You leukemias, breast cancer, colon cancer,
That's
and
what I was gonna say too. Like I've been doing like a lot of recruitment for our next chapter, and so I've been DMing all these influencers that I'm seeing, and like I've noticed a trend with like what has been diagnosed through the Black young survivors. It's either breast cancer, colon cancer, or some type of blood cancer. One of the girls in our group that's shown up to every meeting, she had leukemia, and her story's pretty good too. But she's an influencer, so I'm like, it's been. It's been a growing category for sure.
yeah.
I'll just add that so our next chapter is our as touches young Black Blessties support group. It is run by these two amazing women. So if you find yourself needing this outlet, please join. It's the last Monday or
Wednesday.
last Wednesday of the month, every month. Yeah, and I mean, like, these sessions are literally just a time to come and chat. They're not recorded or anything like that, or you don't have to like sign up in advance. But we would love to have you join if you do want to share. But basically, obviously Ari is like a little sister to me, and when I did take Kayla out, definitely treated her like a little sister that night out, um, which always will. But getting to know you guys over the last couple of years has been so enlightening and so inspiring. And I think that's why at Tux we were like, whoa, we had this Love of My Girls campaign and had this stuff for survivors, but we didn't have stuff for like you guys. And it was like, how do I hang out with you guys all the time and like not have resources for this
Mhm.
distinct demographic? And so we are working with the NACDD, and that's how we got to create our young women's page on the Tux page. And, obviously with Touch, we do, run focus groups for everything to make sure everything's grounded in community. And so I learned so much by being a part of these focus groups about learning about the distinct differences that you guys deal with and face in your everyday lives. And so just to like name a couple of the things, we do have resources down here about fertility and pregnancy, right? Obviously, Kayla, you being in menopause, like what? Like it's just like what's going on here? How do I make choices for my future? How do I do this, right?
Right.
And then like family and motherhood, how to like deal with that as a concept because even at 25 you're not even thinking about that yet and now you got to, right? And now
Right.
you're impressed with having to think about things that you may have thought about 10 years later. And then again, early menopause is on here. Even like romantic relationships and intimacy and how that has changed, right? Knowing your body now. We talk about education and career, having to tell your boss that you just got this new job fresh out of college, that this is something you got to go do at 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like, how do you have those conversations? And then in general, body image and beauty and how to just like know that at a time where you're probably still like into your boobs, because after having a baby, I'm just like they can go, but but you know what I
Girl,
mean?
I'm
But
I
screaming.
but you know
love
what I mean? But like at a time, you're just like your body is it's a lot going on, right? And then obviously with like my girl Ari here, we had to add some bits on like integrative care and holistic care because the young woman is really, you know, spiritual in that way a lot of the time, right? And we do at Touch make sure that we can integrate our holistic and spiritual selves with the science, right? And that being a part of how we tackle this. And then just, self-advocacy, shared decision making, because at this age, you're probably not making choices fully. You're thinking about your parents or you're thinking about, other young women that have maybe you do have some young kids and how to do that. And then obviously community. So those are some of the resources that we do have on the Touch page. And so I definitely encourage everyone to check those out.
I want to hear from you all about, sort of what was missing in the space. Like, did you ever go to a support group at your hospital, or in your community? Like, what was that experience like for you? Because I think that having this space is so very important, but naming what's missing in the communities and in the hospitals and really kind of outlining that is something important to talk about because there's folks watching who are like, yeah, I went to my support group one time and I didn't go back. But tell me what was your experience if you did do that?
I was offered to go to support groups, but I wasn't interested because it wasn't targeted for my age group. It was, medicine. I was given, the social workers at my hospitals are great and everything, and I appreciate the resources, but not typically, but they gave me resources for metastatic breast cancer, and the age group and demographic, it didn't look like me. It was mainly white women and older white women. And I'm in the DC DMV area. And I didn't think that would be like conducive of me to go and because I couldn't relate. I mean, I can relate with the cancer, but outside of that, I didn't feel seen, if that makes sense.
Oh, it
So
does.
yeah, with our next chapter, it feels like a FaceTime call, like other young women and we're just talking about, dating and what, like, oh, I had to tell the guy I was talking to, like, I don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z because I had treatment. You know what I'm saying? And it's only things that cancer thrivers can really, relate to. And it's not something a typical 20-something-year-old woman can relate to. So,
I think they had a support group. I don't know. I feel like during my first journey, well, I get yeah, more so my first journey, no. I feel like I was more closeted about my stuff anyways, so like yeah. And my doctor's office wasn't necessarily that close. Like I'm not driving 45 minutes to sit in a circle with some people that I don't know, don't look like me, and definitely wasn't my age because like every time I get infusion, I'm looking at everybody in the room and I'm like, yeah, nobody looks like me. And then for the second diagnosis, I just feel like since I was doing my clinic rotation at my doctor's office, like the whole office knew me, so like it was like the whole office was kind of encouraging me. So like, like everybody like, she passed her comps, like, like, she about to graduate. So like, I did have that support. So yeah, no. And then
So
I never
support
felt like I found
outside.
anything online.
You're
Wow.
reminding me right now, yeah, that like I'm so thankful for Zoom and the technology that we have to be able to create communities in these spaces, because if you
Exactly.
did just base it off where you live and who was near you, then the chances of finding our next chapters or things like that, you wouldn't, right? And like there's this chance for
I
this
didn't
to
even think
live,
about that, like how
right?
late Zoom came out. Like,
Right? I
yeah.
know. I'm so thankful for these,
True.
these virtual ways to communicate, because that this is how they should be used and when they should be used.
right.
Yeah. I think that one good thing that came out of the pandemic was definitely this, but also when we talk about millennials and zennials and the generational ways that we even access information, it has been such a joy to work with younger people who are like, you know what, boom, we got it done, right? We can reach, and older folks now are doing the same thing and they're utilizing this technology. And we like to talk a lot of crap about young people, but let me tell you something, leading the way in technology and reaching people. I think it has helped with isolation, with loneliness. It's helped with so many things, that we can do now. So, really, so talk about um, some of the focus group conversations, where people really willing to like chime in and talk about what's going on, or was it pulling teeth and people maybe didn't want to say some of the things that they wanted out of our next chapter? How did you all put that together?
Um, well, you about to say something, Kayla?
I was gonna say that we basically each meeting, like we would have like like for example, for February, we had our topic, what was it, like love and relationship.
Dating with a diagnosis, yeah.
Yeah. And we basically kind of based it on things that we talked about in our own personal conversations. Because we are always on FaceTime, like during treatment and things, like, oh, I have this side effect and X, Y, and Z. So we kind of just based it off of like our
And it's
conversation.
like, just cause you got cancer don't mean the subjects change when you talking to your homegirls. Like we still be talking about boys all the time. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I know life is on the line, but men still matter, you know?
Right.
So it's
It
like,
does.
I only want to talk about things and I ain't even gonna lie, that's probably what most of our calls end up ending with. Like,
Like, guys,
last month was like growth and transformation, like how much we evolved, but it still ended with men. So I
So
was
keep it
just
real, keep it fun, keep it spicy. I like that.
because this
exactly, and keep it
dating,
relatable, because
yeah,
like yeah, we do spit facts in there and stuff like that too, but like Kayla was saying, like it feels good to just make it feel like a FaceTime call, and someone not feeling so I guess more like fearful over your life. Like I know a lot of people care about you, like while you're going through your diagnosis, and I appreciate it, but like, oh man,
It's
don't
heavy.
ask me
It
too
gets
many
heavy, right?
questions.
You want to
Yeah,
put it down and just have a safe space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And you said something great, Dr. Mo. Like it is heavy, but the thing with our next chapter, we try to keep it we 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 keep it real, but we keep it light,
Hmm.
like something that can be heavy. And that's something that I appreciate about it because a lot of, we know how it is to go through it like alone or isolated. And we're just very grateful that we can have a safe space for everyone to come and just voice their concerns.
During our focus groups
Mhm.
for when we were building the web page, I think initially one day we showed, the people, like we showed the Blessties, um, just a basic version of it, and it had pictures of them because we're going to share some video stories. Sorry, I have a very talkative child. She wants in on this conversation. Um, but no, so we had these visuals of people, and then it said like Ari, I remember saying Ari and diagnosed at 19 and 21, right? And that wasn't the feedback with it for that was like, no, like share who I am, just like share that I like dogs. And Ari's was like, Ari did diagnose, but is also like graduated magna cum laude at Texas State University, and now we're just a radiation therapist. Like, tell me who I am. I don't want to just be known as diagnosed at this. Like, that is not my
Mhm.
story. My story has so much more ahead of it as well. There's so much future ahead of me. And so, like, tell them that, like, I have three cats and I take walks at night. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is, and like humanize people. And so I think that kind of just matches what you guys are saying about that support group should be talking about your love interest. Like, here for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Facts. And I feel like it just goes back to like even our TikTok account. Like I feel like our TikTok account is probably our most lenient social media platform that we have. And our interns pretty much make most of our content and they just deliver like breast cancer topics in like the most funniest, like little ratchet ways that, appeal to our audience that will actually catch our eye.
And it gets engagement. Like it's relatable and
Hmm.
it gets engagement and it's real. It's
I love
Hmm.
that. Wow. Now that's pretty dope. So if people want to join the group, how do they become a part of this? How do they get in on the next chapter?
Well, I pretty much post a flyer, probably about a week before the meeting goes, but also on our LMG link tree, we have our Zoom link in there. And it's like no application or anything. It's just like come as you are.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And we
Show
just
up in your bonnet if you like.
yeah,
We
your bond, your pajamas.
literally,
Yeah,
literally.
just
That's
join the
great.
party. It's just everyone is welcome.
I love
And
it.
there's one lady that comes to all of our meetings too, and she is not in the age group, but she be listening to our young T and like I'm telling you, we really be
Maybe
talking.
she's young at heart, huh? I love that.
And she'll
Yeah, I
always
think
like give a piece of like nugget of wisdom and advice, and we're so appreciative of her.
That's
literally
really
she be
dope
popping
because
in
you
and
all could have
out.
been like, ma'am, please, can you join the age appropriate group, for you? Like, thank you. This is you're in the next chapter. We're in our next chapter. Like, we didn't get to that page yet. But you all are
Literally.
very open and accepting. That's beautiful.
Well, it's also
Yes.
fun. It's also interesting because what we say is like a young survivor. We don't really know all the time what that means because it's like, what if I'm in my 80s but was diagnosed young, right? And therefore, like, I did
Yeah.
survive this breast cancer young at the time, or maybe I'm young at heart, right? I know if my grandma was still breast cancer, she'd be in your support group too. She's 93, and so. You know what I
Got
mean?
it.
I think that there's something to be said about, and it's also like the topics you're covering, right? If that topic you're covering, if you are struggling with dating and just regardless of your age, right? And you want to have that conversation about intimacy, like this is so relevant to you. So I
Hmm.
think that's cool. And I think that that's important because I think that, at Touch, inclusivity is a big piece of what we do. And hence,
Absolutely.
where I feel like sometimes it's like too include, like we're always talking to so and so over here and there, and that's great. And so I'm glad that people are finding home there.
I love
Yeah,
that. Finding
absolutely.
home. That is beautiful, Haley. It's well stated. because you don't know where your home is, I think, when you're going through this challenge. I had a young lady reach out, she's 20, 23, maybe 23, and she's trying to
Mhm.
figure out where her home is for her, because while she gets her cancer care with me, like, where does she go? And to have the space for her, so it's powerful and it's empowering. um, so I wonder if you could, for a minute, talk to some folks who might be watching, who maybe are going through their treatment journey, whatever stage it is, et cetera, and they find themselves young and diagnosed with breast cancer. What are some tips and some pearls and some things that we could say to help, help guide them along? I'm not gonna say empower, because it may not all be empowering. It might be like, girl, get out your head and stop it already, right? But what are some tips and tricks and things that we could put in the chat? Maybe a little bit of round robin.
Yeah. I would just foremost say like use your I'm screaming. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I was just gonna say that I feel like using your resources and being vulnerable is like the biggest thing before we like, listen out all the things. Because, when you're a person that does it all and then you get into a diagnosis and you have to slow your life down and learn to ask for help and, set your ego aside in the whole process.
I was going to say lean on your community. And so for example, I lost a lot of friends as a young woman going through breast cancer because a lot of young, like, how do you navigate your young friend having cancer? You have a different needs and things like that. But I would say if you don't have community, create community, whatever way that is, like through social media, use advantage of social media. I did a lot of research. I don't want to say research, but like got real patient perspectives of like different treatment options from TikTok, if I'm being honest. And
Yes.
Instagram. Like women are sharing their stories online of their real, raw side effects, everything on social media. And I say use social media as a tool to your advantage.
Hmm.
Really did help me through my recurrence of breast cancer.
TikTok is a new Google. I hate to tell y'all. Y'all be telling people don't use Dr.
The grain of
Google, baby.
salt.
Don't use Dr. TikTok because I'm telling you, it's stuff on there for everything. Like any medicine I could think of, I will watch like at least 30 TikToks just to be like, oh, what they saying about it. Like,
All
you
right, but I
know,
gotta ask you though, how do you source out good information from misinformation on TikTok?
I
What's
text
the
you.
Oh,
I
okay,
take,
yep, there you
yeah.
go.
For
Because
me,
I
There's a
think
lot of things that I feel like I would.
when you look at the sources of information, TikTok is one of the number one sources of information, but it's also one of the number one sources of misinformation, right?
Yeah.
Bad information that's disguised as something trendy. And so I think you have to, use it, yeah, but vet it, right?
yeah,
You got to look it up and don't, trust but verify, right?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll bring things to my oncologist, like, hey, I seen a patient say she had this side effect. Like, for example, I have hot flashes. Hot flashes is not fun. Okay. And, I brought it to my oncologist and she put me on a medication that, doubles as an antidepressant and works on my hot flashes. And shout out to TikTok because I found that information, but I had to verify it too. So that's a real good piece of advice.
I
Yeah,
love
I love
that.
me some TikTok as
Verify.
well as chat.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Chat GPT, Chatiana. I named my chat Chatiana. So, I feel like that's another
Not
resource.
Shadiana.
Like, baby,
Wow.
I don't even have to pay for therapy. Chat got my back, man. She be like, Ari, let me tell you, you need to be grounded and blah blah blah. I'm like, I know.
So wait a minute,
She
chat your therapist? Because I think I kind of hate it, but I sort of love it. Right? Because if you're gonna talk to
yes.
chat, if you're gonna get information, it might as well be something that you can use for your life. Like, okay, so tell me more about you and Chatiana.
Like, oh my gosh. Oh, one time I was asking, I was like, man, should so I just started going back to work being a radiation therapist and I was like, man, should I go back to radiation? And chat was like, you should never ask me to make your medical decisions for your treatment and anything like that. And I said, baby, I'm talking about going back to work. I ain't talking about going back to no treatment. So like she don't say nothing too crazy. She'll keep it real. Sometimes she too real with me. So, yeah, I ask her about health stuff, like my medication, like literally everything. And I just did like a little study where people were asking like how much do you use AI for like your health? And I feel like I was the only young person on the call and I was saying yes to everything. Like I use that girl for mental health, physical health, spiritual interpretation, everything.
I use ChatGPT too. I use her as like I kind of want to say a vetting source too. Like, let's say if I already create a plan and then I'll put my plan in the ChatGPT and I'll be like, oh, like, does this make sense? Or if you were in my shoes, what would you do? X, Y, and Z. So that's how I use it.
Chatty am I overreacting, Chatty Like,
Does she ever say yes?
yes.
Because I
She
feel like
like
Chat GPT will lead you sometimes too. You be like, "Am I right about this?" And they'll be like, "Well, here's 5 articles that say you're right." You
Mhm.
know. So
No, I feel like she be keeping it real. She be telling me when I be tripping. She's like, "Girl, write it in a letter and calm down."
I love
And then
it.
she's like, "You asked this question 5 times in 5 different versions. What do you think?" Like I was asking her if I was type A or type B, and she was
Hmm.
like, "Girl, Haley, it was around that time I had to change that flyer like 16 times or whatever." She was like, "Yeah, you literally changed the flyer 16 times and asked me if it was okay 16 times, and you don't think you're a type A?" So, stuff like that. She be calling me out.
So what I hear you saying, one piece of advice is to not take yourself too seriously. Sometimes, keep it real.
Yeah,
I love that.
facts.
And I think keep learning, stay a lifelong learner. Don't just take everything that even doctors tell you. And it's important to know to ask the question, why? And you can ask it in whatever kind of way you want to, but your doctor should know that you are invested in your care and you should also be invested in it. Like, know your subtype. Ask some questions, jot down some stuff beforehand, and don't just take whatever somebody says as gospel because, as you all mentioned, we're still learning a lot about the treatment, about survivorship, about toxicity,
Yeah.
about long-term side effects. For us, long-term is 5 years, 10 years. For you, long-term is like, listen, long-term. Like I have to live with the results of whatever you do to me surgically, radiation, whatever medicines you give me, right? I have to deal with the side effects of this. And
I think
so
it's
tell
interesting.
me.
Yeah, I
Hmm?
think when I think about AI and all of the things, TikTok, I think that it's great to hear that you guys are also populating these spaces. I think the way to get
Mm,
to the right information and the way to, to hopefully get people to you guys instead of others, the misinformation is to continue to populate and add to that experience. I see AI similar to our, a clinical trial, and that like the more that we add to the knowledge of these things about, the Black woman experience, the Black Blessed experience, the better. And so I thank you guys for being a part of that. I think, you're going to help us find the better information, and that's a piece of it, right? And yeah, I loved also, Kayla, the verification of the things that you learn. I think that's an important step. And so,
mhm.
just continue to, like Dr. Mo said, be in the know, just be in the know, do what you got to do to be in the know, so that you can, make good decisions for your body.
Yeah. And I love to challenge my doctor. Like I know Dr. Mo said,
I'm sure
why?
your doctor loves that.
Yeah, I love to ask why not.
Ooh, they be thinking I'm
Whoa!
crazy up in there, but it's okay.
Hold up, mind
Just know
blown.
I
You
will
said
ask
you love to
everything.
ask why not.
Yeah, I love to, if they say, oh, we don't need to do X, Y, and Z, I'll ask why not. And I want them to provide explanation as to why I don't need to.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And my thing is the 5 words. How can we be 6 words? How can we be more sure?
Mhm.
Right? So if you're watching and doctor, oh, it's probably nothing. How can we be more sure? It's not to say I don't believe you, doctor, or you know what, you're not a good doctor because you didn't order that test. But is there a way we can be a little bit more sure? How can we be a little more scientific about this? You know? And I think
Yeah.
it's a valid question, especially in the setting of the fact that, the majority of young women, they find their own cancers, right? And a lot of them have that experience of being turned away by doctors. So, if there's a trial you're interested in, that's the other thing, get involved in research, right? We need more research from young women in this space. So get involved in research, but ask your doctor, how can we be more sure? Oh, it looks like you're in the clear or whatever. How can we be more sure? Oh, that lump's probably nothing. How can we be more sure? Well, it's working. The treatment's working. How can we be more sure? Right? Like it's a valid question that pushes them to put the science behind it. Do the math.
And both of you found a lump, right? Both of you found a symptom and advocated for yourself, right? And so that just goes to, anyone out there like self exams every month, do them, go to the Argue Love of My Girls page and learn how to do a self exam, get the Know Your Lemons app, go to YSC's Tick Check resource. There are resources out here on how to do self exams. Kayla, love that your partner found yours. Love that. Have your partner check your girls. I don't care who checks your girls. Get
That's
them checked,
right.
and that's really common too. And so, again, if you learn anything here, it's like you can find your breast cancer as early as you can by knowing your body, doing your self exams. Good for both of you for being so in tune with your body so young. Some people take a long time to understand or like start feeling and doing the things they should be doing, And so,
Yes.
again, yeah, just do that because I think that I mean, it clearly makes a huge difference, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, how can people reach you? Because I know we got to go. So, if people want to follow you on social media, where should they go?
Follow me on Love My Girls. That's where I be at. Follow me, DM me. And it's the same handle for TikTok for the Love My Girls on TikTok.
For the love.
Uh, And I
Mhm.
I also with the love of my girls and I sometimes post my breast cancer journey on my page, PAS Monet. I'm a physician assistant student as well. So I do my journey on there too. So,
I love to
Mm-hmm.
see it. Love to see it. And then our next chapter is where? Where does it live? And can we put it in the chat on Black Doctor?
I do not have access to the chat right now.
I can I
That's
can
all right.
I can definitely put it in there again last
Yes.
Wednesday of every month. And email us. I'll just even put my email here. Email us, and that way I can get, you can join the Touch E-Blast and just hear what's going on.
Yes.
Ari is often at events. We're trying to get Kayla at some events too, to just
Awesome.
represent Touch and make sure that people see your faces and see what survivorship and thriving looks like because you guys are in
Right.
school and radiation therapy, doing radiation therapy and
Right.
and also caring for your family and your people and meditating and all the things, right? And so it's important to like see that and see you guys living your lives because you have so much life to live. And thank you for being on the Doctors
And
in
do.
And do. Now, who's
Right.
here this weekend in Philly for LBBC's conference? Is anybody in town?
So I'm actually on the Tuck side. We have
Amber?
Valerie Blackwell, an awesome survivor, coming to do the LBBC, and then my mom, Ricky Fairley, is popping to LBBC, and I'll be at Bird Cancer.
I'll
Yeah,
see you
so
there. I'm
yeah,
moderating the
so we're
panel
like
on
doing
sex
Philly
addiction
hard
and
this weekend.
I absolutely love it. We definitely got to link up. It's going to be so good to see you because,
I'll be at BaddieCon.
Oh
see,
yeah,
and
Ari's doing BaddieCon.
I see you at Vatican.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
T.
gosh. Listen, we will be highlighting. We're going to do an Instagram live. I might even do my first TikTok, y'all. I don't know. If
Let's
I can
do
find
She gonna do
somebody,
it.
a TikTok.
if
She
I
gonna
can
do a
find somebody to
TikTok.
help me keep it going, I'm willing to get into it. But like let's figure this thing out because I need to be where the information is and the misinformation is, and we got to do this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
might just do it.
We
Stay
got to
tuned.
do it.
yeah.
Stay tuned. Oh my goodness, that baby is so sweet and so precious, and she is
No,
the reason
literally.
why. She is
Thank
the reason
you.
why. So listen, we hope it's been relatable, been reliable, been real. That is what we do here on Black Doctor every Wednesday night. That's what Touch is all about. That's what Loving My Girls is all about. That's what our next chapter is all about. Get into it. You have community. You have folks who look like you, who can identify with you, and who can relate to you no matter who you are and how different you might be. Like this is your space. These are your people. And we are
Yes.
going to bring the realness, you know. Yes to
Mhm.
cancer. All right, yes to treatment, yes to science, but yes to realness. So
Yes to
that's
Yes.
I love
Yes
y'all
to
and I appreciate you
realness.
coming. There it
Love you
is.
guys.
love
I love you
you.
guys so
Y'all have a
much.
great week, everyone.
The doctor is in. See you next
Doc is
Wednesday.
in.
Oh.